Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT. Football is back. College football, NFL starts tomorrow. We touching on all of it. What happened week one in the college football, NFL week one picks, predictions, X factors, betting, all that good stuff. And of course, we're gonna touch on the US Open. They've been doing their thing over there. They really have on the men's side and the women's side. But before we get into that, fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Coming to y'all regardless of the fact that I don't feel well today and all that stuff. And I want y'all to know that you guys would think it's because I care about you guys and that I want to show up for you guys. But the reality is I don't care about none of y'all. I'm just doing this because I like doing it.
Very long-winded response, but you could have just said I'm good.
I'm not good. My back hurts, my leg hurts, my head hurts. I'm not good. Why would I lie?
You could have fooled me.
Deion Sanders in Colorado Buffalo. Huge week one win, upset. His whole model going into it was we coming. Well, Colorado is here now. It's no longer we coming. It's we here and we believe. What was y'all biggest takeaways from this game for Colorado? Deion Sanders, both his sons, Travis Hunter. What was y'all biggest takeaways from this game?
Hey, I just found out Shador's middle name. Him. That's my takeaway. Shador Sanders is him. Now, Miles laughing, but look at here. Shador Sanders went out there and lit it up. They're gonna be talking about Shador just like they talk about Caleb Williams by the end of the season. He's gonna get his name in that conversation as one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now, and he's gonna be probably a top quarterback to go in the draft is my prediction. That Greg over here making faces, but that's my hot take. That's my hot take. When you look at what Colorado did to TCU, and we'll talk about areas that they need to improve and right with their defense, but from an offensive perspective, they could not be stopped. TCU did not have an answer for them whatsoever. Shador Sanders, he had negative 32 rushing yards, and he didn't even need to rush. You know what I mean? He just lit it up with his arm. The chemistry that he had with those receivers, obviously he played with Travis Hunter last year, but to come to a new team, develop chemistry like they did, and for him to put on a show like that and throw for over 500 yards in his first game of the season, literally, if you're a hater on anything that Colorado did, like, it's crazy that people are still hating on that team. You know what I mean? Deion Sanders, like you said, is coming, and he's definitely going to change the culture there.
All right, so I guess Miles not gonna go.
I was gonna let you, get it.
I don't have a lot of energy for this. What I'll tell you is that is the craziest thing I ever heard. That's asinine. The idea that Deion Sanders, he might as well be Deion Sanders. Shador will be better than Caleb and his all said.
I didn't say better. I said he'll be talked about in the same conversation as Caleb Williams in terms of Heisman candidate. That is what I meant. Go ahead.
You say you just say he's going to go over him in the class. You say he's going to go over him in the draft, didn't you?
I did not say that. I did not say that.
Miles, you didn't say that?
Well, he just said he'd be a top pick in the draft.
I said he'd be a top quarterback taken, but I didn't say he's going to go before Caleb Williams. I said he'll be talked about in the same breath as Caleb Williams.
I'm delirious. Okay. All right. Fine. Fair. This is bad. So, all right. Fine. Fair. I can co-sign that. I don't think that people are going to look at them and go, oh, yeah, I'm deliberating between taking Caleb Williams, taking Shador Sanders. That's not going to be a
Agreed.
Like, people are going to take Caleb Williams. He's the best quarterback prospect I've ever seen. He had a throw this weekend where he's running out of bounds, full speed, didn't even decelerate, throws it across his body, right into the arms of the receiver along the sideline over a defender. To throw a deck and touch and accuracy on the run like that, full speed, is crazy. He's incredible. He's the best quarterback prospect I've ever seen in my life. So there's that. But Shador is very, very good. I don't want to take away from Shador. He's great. I think he's going to be talked about with everybody else, Riley Leonard, Drake May. I think he'll be in a Drake May conversation. He could easily be taken second overall of all those quarterbacks. The thing that he'll have to overcome is playing in the Pac-12. They'll use that as a knock on him. But the thing because the defenses there just aren't that good. But the thing that impressed me about him was his ability to read defense. Like, he just made the right decision every time. It was the right decision every single time. So Tone was in the chat joking, saying he's the Black Tom Brady, but he he kind of approaches the game like from a mental standpoint like that. Like he's obviously not Tom Brady. Don't be in the comments talking crazy for real. I'm not in the mood, guys. I don't want to do that. But the reality is that he is incredibly cerebral with the way he approaches the game. He made the right throws. That fourth and two play where he do the wheel route to Edwards and he took it to the house. That was the right read. They sent the blitz from that side. He was hot. He hit his hot receiver. That's stuff that these other guys don't. Other quarterbacks at his age don't make those plays. You know what I'm saying? And you're comparing him to the guy from TCU who is nobody for all we're concerned, but he thoroughly outplayed him. Right? His defense, Shador's defense let him down in that game. They should have won by 20 the way that thing was going. So real special. And with Travis Hunter to throw to, and then all the weapons he has, that Edwards kid is going to be a draft pick, probably a first rounder, honestly. They have a lot to work with. So I'm excited about it, man. They're going to be good. They're going to be real good.
Hey, Miles, so Travis Hunter played both sides of the field over something like 140 snaps or something crazy like that, but produced. Do you think this is something that he can keep up the whole season, though?
I mean, I think for him to last the whole season, they're gonna have to like cut down on some of those plays, like give him a break on drives. And I mean, his calling card is offense. I think he's a top pick receiver right now, and he's a good corner. But like to have him doing both for a 13 game schedule, that's a lot to ask of a kid, like a sophomore in college. So I don't know. Deion knows better than me though. So I think he believes highly in this kid. And I think a lot of people are starting to grow fond of this kid too. And, I think he could do it, but I don't think it would be smart. I mean, the more you're on the field, the closer you are to injuries too. So
Hey, Chris, you touched on it when you were speaking. Do we feel though, they had a big win week 1. Do we feel that they actually are the real deal, or it was a good matchup? Because they have a lot of flaws and they aren't actually the deepest team. They're like an injury away from all of this being we're coming next year.
You know what I learned about Colorado in this matchup is that they're an extremely disciplined team. Here you are bringing a bunch of new guys to your roster, right? Expectations are sky high just based on what Deion Sanders did last year at Jackson State, right? And all the talk he did this offseason. So, of course, expectations are going to be high for them. And to go out there week 1 and only have 6 penalties the whole game with a bunch of new guys gelling together, that tells me that they're extremely disciplined. So I think they go as Deion goes and how he leads them. I think Deion is a coach that makes adjustments, and based on how they played this past week, obviously there were flaws. Obviously things weren't perfect, but the one thing that was working for them was their offense, right? And if anything, it's the pressure's on the defense now. Best believe Deion Sanders, as a defensive-minded coach, is in that defensive coordinator's ear, making sure that his team doesn't show up the same way that they showed up in week 1. So I think moving forward, look, the eyes are on them again this week. More people are talking about them playing. I think they're playing Nebraska. More people are talking about them playing Nebraska than this Alabama-Texas game that's coming up, because of they just took down the defending national championship or defending national runner-up last year in TCU, right? And that's obviously not something that's easy to do, especially in the first game of the season. So if they come out and beat Nebraska, best believe people are going to have their eyes on Colorado for the rest of the year. And look, they started off the season unranked, and what are they now? They're ranked number 22, right? So they only have up to go, and let's see what they can do.
I don't think you can judge them off of Nebraska though. That's the thing. I feel like the next couple of weeks are like cupcake weeks for them. Like these are must wins because Nebraska's not good. They haven't been good in years. Then they play Colorado State. I mean, even last year's team should probably beat Colorado State, and they only won 1 game. So,
but that's where you establish your dominance, right? To your point, that's where you show how disciplined you are, and you can go out and not keep it a close game, but you can go out there and dominate teams, so that when you play these big time schools, they understand what you're about, and you've already put it together against teams that you should have blew out of the water.
All right. I mean, they got Oregon, who put up 81 last week. They got USC, who clearly, I mean, they got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. So those are going to be tougher games, and hopefully they're ready by then. So we'll see. The defense definitely has to come to play. That's what they need to, iron out the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. The next couple of weeks, they got to figure that out because, like you said, Oregon dropped 81, and then y'all going to see Caleb Williams. So y'all got back-to-back big games. Oregon, Caleb Williams. If that defense is not ready, it's going to be a shootout. And
Tone, real quick before you move on, what's realistic expectations for them, right? Like, obviously, it's week one. Yes, they won a game. Boo-hoo. That means nothing in the grand scheme of things over a course of a whole season. But last year they were 1-11. What are we classifying as a successful season for Colorado?
A bowl game. I mean, if they can get to a bowl game from the team they scrapped from last year, then that's a win. Because it only gets harder from here. Like, they beat TCU, yeah, on national television. Nobody's sleeping on them now. Like, they were sleeping on them because they were just like, okay, how good can they be? Like, their projected over-under win total was like 3.5. So it definitely has risen since then. But we'll see.
looking at their schedule, I think in general they're getting over that 3.5 in general.
Yeah.
Besides that. The other big upset, we talked about it on the show. Florida State beat LSU. Jordan Travis, 23-31, 342 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rushing touchdown. What was y'all biggest takeaways from this game? And do y'all think Brian Kelly is on the hot seat? Because it seems like he's not that good of a coach on this bigger level.
It's interesting. I mean, technically it's an upset because like 5, 8, 1 was higher, but I feel like Florida State was the better team. It's just the luck of the draw with the rankings. Like, Florida State played great last year, and they had a lot of hype coming into the season. They got a better quarterback who makes better decisions with the ball, and they got a better defense. So, I mean, the LSU, a lot of SEC teams had a down week last week, so we'll see. But yeah, Brian Kelly, I don't think he's on the hot seat just yet. I think following a guy who won a national championship, once you get into like year 2, year 3, and you're kind of regressing a little bit, because I think they had a pretty good year last year. I mean, they knocked off Alabama in a close one. I think he won like 10 games last year. So coming over from Notre Dame, that's a big jump. And the competition's a lot steeper over here. So I think if they drop down to like 7, 8 wins this year, then next year you'll start hearing rumbles like, all right, this is not what we're used to. We're used to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase catching deep balls and winning national championships and, being rivals with Georgia and Alabama in the SEC. But if they start getting blown out by those teams, then that's when you start hearing the rumbles like, who's the next hot coach that we could bring over here?
I think it's kind of early too to press the panic button, right? Like, we're talking about 1 week of football and only one example. And I think college is very similar in the way that people freak out after 1 week, especially if a top team goes down, just like they do in the NFL when expectations are high. So next week, if the Chiefs lose week 1, people are going to be freaking out whether they have Kelsey or not, right? If the Jets lose week 1, if the Bengals lose, everyone's going to press the panic button and sound the alarms. And at the end of the day, it's only week 1. It's not going to determine what the rest of the season look like, and that's the same thing for college football. The problem with LSU, Miles brought up a good point. They had better quarterback play at FSU, right? Plain and simple. But also with LSU, they couldn't get the run game going. So as long as they kind of get those things intact and figure that out, I don't think it's a problem with recruiting. I think they're still getting top athletes over at LSU. It's not about the big name, but it's about doing the little things right. Can you make adjustments during the game when the run game isn't going well? Can you get the right guys in there, right? And I think those are a lot of the things that coaches learn during that first week. Is they're still really evaluating players because they haven't seen them in an actual game setting.
Yo, Tone, you want to go?
You got it.
I was gonna say 2 years of mediocre subpar football in Louisiana, like Louisiana State University, a school that has that rich history and tradition. It's not gonna work, yo. It's not gonna work. Brian Kelly came in, and the vibe I got from him was I'm serious. When you see those recruiting videos of him, doing the dab with his players or whatever, or dancing with his players, thinking it's cool. Like there's just an unseriousness about him. And I said when we talked about this game, I thought I picked Florida State. I said I don't like the quarterback situation at LSU, and they had a kid last year. I think his name was Mac Johnson. He's a lefty. I think that's who it was, or maybe a few years ago. But they haven't had a great quarterback prospect since Joe Burrow. Obviously, it's hard to replicate that. But when you're an SEC powerhouse, it shouldn't be that hard to get great talent. Look at Jordan Travis. I mean, I know Alabama is in a transition period too, but they had Bryce Young, they had Tua, right? They had Hurts, right? So it's a weird time for LSU. It's a transitional period. I think Brian Kelly, similar to how NFL teams operate, will have a coach in to oversee a transitional period, and when they get good and turn a corner, let them go. And I just feel like that's where we're headed with him. I think that's the reality of the situation. They're gonna look for the next hottest coaching candidate, and I think a guy like Deion Sanders, a few years after Shador is gone and his other son's gone, will be a guy that all these SEC schools are gonna be knocking at the door of. At Florida State, obviously for obvious reasons, LSU, those guys, those teams, and Florida State's obviously good. Norwell does a good job, but don't discount the idea that Sanders could be on the move to the SEC team, and I feel like LSU is a prime candidate for that.
Deion gonna have whatever he want.
Right.
Once his kids is done, it's going everything is gonna be offered to Deion for sure. Player of the week. Who is y'all player of the week from this week one of slate of games? I'll go first. I'll choose a different name. Granted, it wasn't the best of a competition, but still, you play who's in front of you. And he balled out. Michael Penix Jr., 29 of 40, 450 yards passing, 5 TDs, no interceptions. I got to choose him as my player of the week. Y'all can go. I didn't want to go with obviously, we could choose probably 3 players from Colorado, but I'll go with Michael Penix Jr.
Nasty. The lefty from Washington, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm gonna go with the obvious. I'm not gonna overthink it. I think there's a lot of different candidates. I think a lot of guys played well, but Shador, I think even more so than what Travis. I thought Travis dropped 2 easy touchdowns in that game. He dropped them. They were placed in his hands. And I heard Deion at the halftime show say, "Oh yeah, well, we missed him twice." No. He dropped the ball. They were placed right in his arms. He dropped them. A 1A receiver doesn't do that, right? I'm not saying he's not a 1A, but the hands have to be consistent for me. I mean, that's just a big thing there. He played both ways, really impressive. But I'm gonna go with Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders was my player of the week. Played great. The biggest reason why they won, in my opinion, was Shador Sanders and his decision making at the quarterback position. You gotta think about it. A quarterback is more valuable than a guy who plays both ways at any other 2 positions on the field. That's how valuable a quarterback is, in my opinion. You're more valuable than 2 positions combined. So I think that's what we're looking at with Shador. Shador is the reason why they won that game. They would have lost without him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, there are many candidates to choose from. I'm actually going to go Travis Hunter. I think it's impressive to be able to play a full game, both sides of the ball, and do what you do, come up with an interception and have a touchdown in the same game. It's obviously not easy, but the kid's a competitor. He's been a competitor his whole life. He's played both sides his whole life, especially at the high school level. Last year at Jackson State, when he dealt with the injury, came back, still played both sides. He's going to be someone that not only changes the game at this level, but he's going to be highly sought after at the next level. So my pick, Shador Sanders. I do want to give a shout out to Spencer Rattler, though. Spencer Rattler, even in the loss, he threw 30 for 39 for 353 yards and not turning the ball over this game against a tough North Carolina team. That's impressive given the fact that his main issue last year was turnovers and throwing interceptions. So for him to come out and put on a show like that in his opening game, definitely impressive, going 30 for 39.
That's efficient as heck.
Efficient. For 352? Come on.
Hold up. Did they win that game?
They lost.
Can't be
That's
my
why it's just a shout out, Miles. That's why it's just a shout out. I couldn't choose him for player of the week because of that. But he came in and handled business.
All right. I mean, the obvious, like you said, is Shador Sanders. I mean, to come
Y'all
out
better start
first
getting this
game,
man's name right.
I know Shador. First week, FBS. I mean, for him to do that on the road and then down late with like 2 minutes left in the game, for him to drive down and win the game like that, it was impressive. And he showed a lot of poise, real efficient. And that's efficiency with touchdowns. Spencer Rattler, no picks, but no touchdowns either. So it was cool for a scrimmage. But yeah, Shador was balling. So he's my player of the week.
Spencer Rattler may not be an NFL quarterback, by the way. He may not be. Spencer Rattler may not be an NFL quarterback, yo.
He'll be an NFL quarterback. He'll be a backup.
Yeah, all right. He'll be bouncing around the second team. I don't know what I'm bringing you in to do. I think coaching at the next level is great. Don't get me wrong, but what's the disconnect? Because out Oklahoma, you had my man, the best offensive football coach in college football. What's his name? Riley. Right? What's the guy's name?
Riley.
Yeah. They had him, and he struggled over there. He struggled over there with great O-line play, great receiver play. He struggled. So it's not a coaching thing, I don't think. And you got Baker Mayfield look good, Colin Ray to look good over there, and you don't look good anywhere you go, man. You look okay. You look middling. You're not throwing touchdowns, not converting on opportunities, not lifting everybody around you. I'm not saying he can't be salvaged and be a good backup in the NFL or maybe a borderline starter, but there's some kind of disconnect there. And I think it's about the kid. I think it's about how his brain is wired upstairs. And I think it's less about coaching and situation. So it's a red flag. That's all I'm saying. He's going to go late. It's going to go real.
He'll be a star in Canada, though.
Yeah, he could be a star in Canada. Yeah, starring
that. That's crazy.
On that green football. No, it's true, bro. It's true. I mean, come on, bro. He thought he was on top of the world in high school. He came in thinking that it's going to be just like high school. It's a whole different league. And then NFL is just different, just different. So if you're not converting opportunities in college, you're gonna be look awful at the next level. Talented, but talent isn't everything.
Looking at the week 2, Chris mentioned it earlier. Texas, Alabama. How y'all see that one going out? Who y'all picking?
I'm gonna have to roll with Alabama. I mean, Jalen Milrose looked really good last week for them. He's a lot more mobile than Bryce Young. He adds another dimension to that team. So got to roll with the Tide.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Texas has in Quinn Ewers yet. Obviously, he's a good quarterback, right? But he's not being talked about like we talk about Caleb Williams, Drake May, Shador Sanders. So I want to see how he plays against a good Alabama defense. So until that, I'm going to go Alabama as well.
How long before we see Archie, though?
Not this year. I think Quinn is going to be a guy that is going to help his draft stock a bit throughout the process, especially if he gets a win against Alabama. They played Alabama last year and they lost in a very close game. I think Quinn had played that game. I think he's a guy they look at as a first-round talent just from a physical standpoint. He was supposed to go to Ohio State. The Lord, did they miss him now? Yeah, I mean.
He did go to Ohio State, right? He went there for a little bit?
He might have left. Yeah, I think he went there and left. That's what it was. But, yeah, I think that with him, the situation, and just with Texas in general, I think Alabama will win that game. They're going to win the battle in the trenches. It's just the safe bet. I'm not gonna do nothing crazy. I don't really feel like it. So I'm gonna take Alabama in this game. They're gonna win the trench battle of the upline, the offensive line, defensive line, and that's gonna win you the football game. Your quarterback can be a running back when you're Alabama. It's okay. It's like, and it's funny with Alabama. It's like either their quarterback's a running back or he's a pure pocket passer. There's no in between. I think it's crazy. Jalen Hurts is a running back over there.
Throwing shade at Jalen Hurts like he didn't spend.
Jalen Hurts was a running back. He had Derrick Henry out there, bro. Come on, don't do that. In college, he was a running back. No one thought he was gonna be this good. You didn't think he was gonna be this good. So you didn't think he was gonna be this good. You never thought. In college, you did not think that, yo.
Jalen Hurts?
Yes, Jalen Hurts.
You mean national championship winning Jalen Hurts?
Yes, Pastor Jalen Hurts. Yeah, him.
Pastor Jalen Hurts. Put some respect on his name.
Tua saved that game, by the way.
Tua came in and
and then he saved him the next year.
Yeah, it was a movie the way it ended. I'm not saying he worked on his passing. He had a lot of time. And he's done a great job from mud to riches. What is it? Rags to riches. That's what it is. He's a rags to riches story. Great. But I didn't think he was gonna be that good. He looked like Derrick Henry out there running around. Like his first option was to run before he threw the ball. That's why he got benched. So I just think that the variance is crazy. Either you got a running back back there or pure pocket QB, period. You know. You mad about talking about a variant like that?
Yo, perfect transition. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. NFL is back. We are back tomorrow, Thursday night, starting off. Lions at Chiefs. Chiefs are the 4.5-point favorites. Who y'all see winning this game? Who are the X factors y'all think in this game? Travis Kelce is probable, and Chris Jones is still holding out.
If Kelsey can play and he's effective, then obviously I would take the Chiefs. But not having Chris Jones, that's a big loss that they're gonna feel early on in the season. Like he's a dominant force over there. So I'm gonna take the upset. I'm gonna take the Lions week 1. I think they might come out and surprise some people with how good they are. Jamar Gibbs, he's gonna ball out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's another guy who's gonna ball out too.
I agree with Miles, man. I'm going with the Lions. I think everyone's counting them out. I think from the Chiefs' perspective, we don't know if Travis Kelce is going to play, and even if he does play, I have a feeling that he's going to play based on emotion and not because he's 100%, right, and just because he wants to be out there. And that to me is something that shouldn't ever be done, but it definitely happened, especially this early in the season when it really doesn't matter. But Chandler Jones is a good mention by Miles that, hey, he provides a lot of opportunity for the offense to get back on the field, right? And without him, who knows how long that defense is going to be out there. But I think another thing to know for the Lions is that they acquired CJ Gardner-Johnson in the offseason, right? And I think he's going to give them a big lift on the defensive side of the ball, just due to, I think their cornerback went out. What's his name? Abdullah from Ohio State, right? Or Okuda.
Yeah, I think they traded him.
Okuda's gone.
Oh, he's gone?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think the Lions have a ton of weapons. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson again on the defensive side of the ball is going to cause some havoc. And coming off of how Jared Gauff played last year, I think Jared Gauff is riding the high. He played really well last year. And I think he's going to come out and show that he's still around. He can still play at a high level.
I'm going with the Lions too. I got the Lions winning this game. I already picked them. They're going to be a playoff team too. I think it starts Thursday night. Yeah, Lions
I
going.
don't know about all that.
Well, we know Greg's going to choose the Chiefs. Tell us why.
Yeah, the quarterback is king. Like I said, your quarterback makes the difference. It ain't like they have injuries in their own line, so he'll be protected. And Travis Kelce's going to play. And he'll have that receiver, and he's going to have that decoy. They're going to have to bracket him, whether he has one leg out there, whether he got a prosthetic on, it don't matter. They got to double team him. So at the end of the day, that's going to help open up guys like Sky Moore and everybody else, Justin Ross, who's I think the world's going to get an introduction to on tomorrow night, Justin Ross. So I think I'm just taking Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking Andy Reid. Andy Reid does not lose in September. So, yeah, man, it's the Lions, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. The Lions are a good team. They're going to be good. They're going to be a very feisty group. Think about like Chihuahua, like a feisty group, right? They're going to have a lot of fight to them.
Right, don't start disrespecting them now.
They're going to fight to them. They're going to fight, right? But they're going to be out there eating limbs and everything like Dan Campbell said. But the reality is, and they're a good team. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. All right, I'm joking around, but the reality is that I'm taking track record. Track record means something, guys. It just does, okay? I'm talking about organizational track record. Andy Reid does not lose in September. He's got the best quarterback in the world. Those two things alone right there are enough of a reason. They don't got a decimated offensive line. If they had a decimated offensive line, I understand all the concern. They don't. He's going to hit open guys. They're going to scheme guys wide open. It's that scheme, guys, that Chiefs scheme. The Giants have it too. Guys are wide open. They're open all the time. These guys do a great job. So I think Reid is a mastermind. He's going to put up points, and they're going to obviously have to deal with the trenches. I think they're going to give up some runs to Jahmyr Gibbs. They don't have Chris Jones, but I think they'll overcome that. I think they'll overcome it, make enough plays defensively, and win the game.
I forgot your brothers on the Chiefs. What's his name? Kadarius Toney. I forgot y'all grew up together, so it makes sense.
I can't even say what I was gonna say because I get canceled, bro. I think y'all know what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, we do though. In regard to the spread, I'm taking the lines on the spread too. Last season, the Chiefs were, I think they said 6-14 over the last 2 seasons when they have the spread. They don't do well, and they don't do well at home regarding spread for our bettors out there. Again, disclaimer: do not bet your mortgage based off of what the bench mob says because we cannot help you out. You will be living in a Salvation Army place if you decide to take our advice and lose your mortgage. Next game, Panthers at Falcons. Falcons are 3.5 favorites. Bryce Young's first start, Bijan's first start. How y'all see this one going? I know it's not the most exciting game, but in week one, we're gonna get through the games.
So hold on. Yeah, I think we need to talk about this, yo. And time's not on my side, but I gotta address this. I've been seeing all these top 10 or playoff seeding projections. And tell me why the Falcons are a team that people think are going to make a run this year with Desmond Ridder and Bijan Robinson. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Chris Sims put out a top seven ranking board for who's going to make the playoffs, like a seeding board for the NFC. And the Falcons were on there. And I was perplexed, bewildered. I was shocked. And it's not the first time I've seen that, right? The Packers and the Falcons are two teams that people are actually picking in some cases over the Giants to make it. And so I just find
that's where the bitterness comes from. I get it.
In this case, it's not Chris. You think you know everything, bro. Chris Sims had the Giants on there too. Don't even start with me, bro. But he had the Falcons as a 4 seed. The Falcons were the 4 seed. They were seeded higher, right? Like a top 4 team.
He got him winning the division.
That's right. That's right. Yes, bro. And so I'm not saying it's not possible. That division is doo-doo. It's terrible. It's an awful division. All right. It's gonna be bad football all year long. But I just can't understand the logic, guys. If Bijan Robinson changed everything, if Okuda changed everything that much, it's just bewildering to me. I know their O-line is very good, great run blocking O-line, but I'm just a bit confused by that. I can't make sense of it. I'm not coming to y'all with the answers which y'all are used to. I'm coming to y'all with just like, I'm perplexed. I'm taken aback about that. It doesn't make any sense.
They got weapons on offense though.
But Kyle Pitts has been a failure to this point in his career.
They got Drake London though. They got Drake London.
He's very good.
They're gonna get them involved more. I mean, that was last year with Mariota, who he was basically a RPO guy last year for them, and they were just run heavy. Which they might end up being the same way. He's Arthur Brown or I forget his name, the coach. Coming from Tennessee, that was the kind of game plan that they had. Like they were run heavy. That's why, everybody's talking up Bijan. That's why they took him so high, is because, all right, Algier was good. But when you can get a generational talent like this in your backfield, you don't pass on it, especially if that's, you're going all in on that game plan. So they're going to ride Bijan. Ridder should be better than whatever they got from Mariota. And, I mean, they took Drake London with a top 10 pick last year.
But who are
after they took Kyle Pitts with the top 10 pick the year before. So
it's not worked out.
I mean, if you don't think that they're going to be better than they were last year, I mean, look at who they're playing. They got 6 games against the Saints, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers. You telling me that it's not possible for them to get at least 5 or 6 wins out of that? Like the Panthers
out of the division games alone?
I know you like to, division games are impossible. Division games aren't gimmies.
Don't make my head hurt, yo. Don't make my head hurt, please. My head hurt.
Greg, just me. You're choosing the Panthers?
I chose the Panthers a few weeks ago, and I have my questions about them because their offensive line sucks. All right, I'm allowed to change my opinion, contrary to what people think. Plus, yeah, I don't think y'all remember that anyways. So the reality is that I think the Saints are the most proven commodity in the division. They have the most veterans. They got the most Pro Bowl level players at the most positions in that division. And Derek Carr's been there and done that. He's got Olave. He's got Kamara whenever he gets out of jail. You got all these guys. So the reality is I think that they're going to be in a good position to win the division. just off experience alone. The all line's always solid over there. Scoring points in a problem, and defense, Cam Jordan, those guys, they know what they're doing. Marcus Lattimore, they know what they're doing. So I'm gonna go with them. And I just don't see how that we have all this belief in Desmond Ritter all of a sudden. That's the part I don't understand. Is this Desmond Ritter, bro?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna let Chris pass it off to his doppelganger.
Look, Desmond Ritter, did he have flaws last year? Yes, but to Desmond Ritter's credit, like rookies in the NFL, they struggle, right? It was a new system for him. He has to learn. He had to go through growing pains. He wasn't behind a very talented quarterback where he could really learn and develop. He was behind a journeyman as a quarterback in the NFL. So I'm curious to see what he's going to be this year, just in terms of his development. Now that he's had a full season with Drake London, right? He has Kyle Pitts. You add someone dynamic like Bijan Robinson that can catch balls out of the backfield. And let's not forget, too, the Falcons last year, they were third in rushing in the NFL behind the Bears and the Ravens, right? So there's a lot to build off of there. And I think Bryce Young and the Panthers, a lot of people left in free agency last year, but they also got a lot of new people in free agency. They got a center, they got a guard, they got a bunch of people on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the one thing that the Falcons have done well is kind of keep that defense intact and keep their defense together. And obviously they had a pretty solid O-line last year. So Grady Jarrett, he's going to get after it on Sunday. And I think he's going to give Bryce Young some problem early on. But if there's a game that the Falcons can win, I think it's this game, just given the fact that they have so much going for them early on in the season. Players aren't injured yet, right? They've had a whole training camp to work together. So let's give Desmond Ritter some credit and some grace and see what he does.
I got the Falcons winning this game too, just because the Panthers O-line is very, very sus. Do they win the division? I'm not gonna go that far. I like the Saints to win the division also, but this specific game, like Chris said, I got the Falcons winning.
And one thing about the Panthers too, I liked a lot of their free agent acquisitions, but a lot of those players, now that I think of it, were older players, right? Players that, again, just have been in the league for quite some time. Adam Thielen, Von Bell, some of the linemen that they acquired. It's not like they're a super young and youthful team like the Falcons are.
Yo, you know what? Before we move on, we can't take this long on every game, especially with these two teams, bottom feeders and all that. But I'm gonna say this: please have grace with Bryce Young, please, bro. It's not always gonna look good, but that guy's good. If you can give Desmond Ritter grace, if you can give that guy grace, then please give Bryce Young grace, because it's not always gonna look good. It just isn't, and with the O-line like that, it's tough to operate. You guys gonna see what Daniel Jones is dealing with. He's in a more confident situation as a rookie than Daniel Jones was, but it's hard to drop back and have somebody in your lap right away when you're not a plus size athlete like he is. He's a really good quarterback prospect. I like him a lot. I think he's gonna be great for them, a franchise QB, but just be patient, because they ain't gonna always look pretty. It's just not. The O-line is not.
Question: if they lose every game, what do you do next draft?
Take Caleb Williams. Trade Bryce Young. Don't even think twice. Easy.
That's fair.
That's a stupid question, bro. That's a bad question.
Hey, what'll be cool to see is Desmond Ritter and Bryce Young squared off 2 years ago in the college football playoffs, right? When Cincinnati played Alabama. So this isn't the first time these two have met. And I think what's really going to show is kind of their skill level, right? Because now Alabama doesn't have a dominant defense for Bryce Young to hide behind, right? So he's going to have to deal with some things that he necessarily didn't experience. So that's going to be something to watch, is how he kind of handles adversity when the defense isn't giving him great field position every time he steps on the field.
Yes.
Next game, we got Bengals at Browns. Joe Burrow's already said that he's playing. Deshaun Watson will be playing also. The Browns are picked by a lot of professionals that they're going to be the second team in the AFC North. How y'all see this one going out? The Bengals are 2.5 favorites for this game.
I mean, obviously, if Joe Burrow's healthy, I feel like you just run to the table, slam the buzzer, and that's it. Like, you going with the Bengals. I don't know. Deshaun, granted, he came in late and he didn't look that great. And I mean, there's been mixed reviews and training camp, so we'll see what happens. But I'm not like a true believer in the Browns being this like good team just yet. Like, yeah, they got good pieces. They got Cooper, they got Chubb, Elijah Moore could be nice over there, but like Deshaun, let's see if he plays better outside of Houston, where he's not playing backyard football and he's down by 20 every game. So let's see if he can play a little better against, some good competition like, Joe Burrow. But he's gonna lose. They're gonna lose week 1. So that's what I'm saying.
Listen, I'll be
Y'all
real.
already know how
What happened?
I
What'd you
said,
say?
y'all already know how I feel. Y'all know how I feel about the Browns. This is the start of the bad season. I see 5-6 wins out of them anyway. Joe Burrow about to light them jokers up, and Deshaun Watson ain't gonna be able to do nothing about it.
Look, I'll be real candid with you. My take might surprise you. This could go either way.
Thank you.
This
Thank
really
you.
this really could go either way. The Bengals are 1-5 against the Browns the past few years. We typically don't play well against the Browns, and with this Bengals team, we tend to start off slow. We always start the year off slow. It doesn't mean we won't win, but the Bengals have notoriously been known to start slow. Last year, I think in the season opener, Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions, unlike him. And that was coming off of a preseason where he didn't have an offseason because he had the appendectomy with his appendix. And now this year, again, he's going through not having a training camp with his calf strain. So it's said that he looks good in training camp since he came back this week, and he's been practicing a little bit last week and throwing the football. Zach Taylor said he's the best physically he's ever looked, and all that's good and well. But how are you going to start off the season with this offense, right? He's used to the chemistry with these guys. I don't think that's going to be an issue. But again, he hasn't been in a game setting since January of this earlier this year. So I'm not having too high expectations saying that we're going to blow them out or anything like that. But I think being 2.5-point favorites is totally fair given our track record against the Browns.
I don't believe in Deshaun Watson and the Browns. That's just how I view it. I'm being consistent. None of y'all gonna ever be like, oh, Tone said nope. I am not a believer in the Browns.
That's
2.5 favorites. It could very well be a close game. Chris made all great points. 1-5 against the Browns. Slow starts. Joe Burrow wasn't there for all of training camp, but Deshaun Watson was there for all the training camp. I don't believe in Mr. Cosby. So
Hey, real quick, y'all saw that video I sent a few weeks back of the Browns players fighting. He smacked the dude in the helmet and ran away. Yo, how funny was that? That video had me crying. He said beat and sprinted away, and Deshaun threw an interception on that play.
I think it'll be a close game. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I don't think they're gonna win.
Like I said too, back to my point, like fellas, this week 1. It's week 1. Anything can happen. Adjustments will be made. It's literally week 1. It's not going to determine the course of how a season is going to go.
Greg, who you picking?
Taking the Browns, man. Taking the Browns. This is a division game, and I think this is going to be a weekend where a lot of the favorites in these division games lose because these division y'all don't listen. I've been doing this podcast thing. How long have I been doing the podcast, bro? Like 2-3 years. I don't know, bro. Since COVID, right? And I keep telling you guys that division games are hard to pick. You can't just go into it arrogant, bro. You're not about to smack nobody in division. I don't care if you're playing the Cardinals. I don't care if you're playing Washington, bro. It's going to be a tough game. It's the divisional game. That's just the way football works since the beginning of time. So I'm going to take the Browns. I think Joe Burrow will be a bit rusty and have to settle in. It's going to be tough in this game. I think that defensive front for the Browns is damn good with Myles Garrett and them boys. I think the old line over there is phenomenal. So Deshaun can be eased in, and they will run the ball with Chubb and get him a lot of touches. And any other running back they have will be productive behind that offensive line. They have a long lineage of having great offensive line. So, and I think Amari Cooper is him. Amari Cooper is very, very good. I think people forget about him because he's in Cleveland. Understandably, no one cares about Cleveland, but I think he's going to do a great job in this game, get open, and just affect the game the way he always does. Trust me, from playing against that guy in our division for so long, he is a real problem for teams, and the Cowboys are stupid for letting him go. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Browns. I think Deshaun will settle in. I think Deshaun will come back to the average for him. He'll come back to the mean and be a good football player because, regardless of how, rapey the guy is, he's still a good quarterback. That's just the reality of it.
Well, how many times did you guys run into each other in Houston for you to back him like this?
Yo, I never ran into dude, man.
They split Whataburger together.
Let me tell you something, bro. I don't know if I should be inspired by the way that girl Jilly is with him, or if I should be disgusted. I'm leaning towards disgusted. You want to take ride or die literally? Ride or die could also just be like, it's not even ride or die because she's in it for the money and all that stuff. Like she could be. I mean, shit, I would. I'm sorry, I would. But it's crazy, man. I'm crazy. Relax, bro. If it was the opposite way around.
Dropping his drawers for Deshaun Watson. Pause. He said, "I would be."
Chris be getting his Gucci. Sorry, we're going out of bounds. This thing's falling off the bird. My bad, man. I didn't curse though.
Hey yo, hey to all the things that you just mentioned, right? About the quarterback, the running back. I think the Bengals have the better players at those positions. I mean, yeah, Myles Garrett is a force, but we have a Pro Bowl DN too in Trey Hendrickson. You know what I'm saying? We have a better running back in Joe Mixon, just like they have Nick Chubb. We have better
running back though.
What's up?
Y'all got a better running back though.
We don't have a better running back, but that's not our strength. That's their strength, right? The running game is their strength. Our strength is our passing game with our 3-star receivers.
Of course.
3?
Of course. It takes Tyler Boyd.
Get out of here. Y'all would be blessed to have Tyler Boyd.
You would, because they're working out Kenny Golladay. They're working out Kenny Golladay. They need Tyler Boyd.
We don't.
What do you mean he's not a star? He's a star in Cincy. He's a star in Cincy.
I mean, there's not much to be,
He's not arguably the best slot receiver in the NFL.
No.
Yes.
No.
I think so.
If he's the best slot receiver in the NFL, then he's a star.
He said he's not. He said he's not one of the best.
I know what he said. I'm saying he is.
I think he is too.
Production wise says he is too. So I don't know what Miles talking about. Multiple 1,000-yard seasons with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to still be getting that type of production.
When? He hasn't had one since they've been there.
He hasn't. He didn't have one this past year. He had one 2 years ago. Come on now.
So Miles, if it isn't Tyler Boyd, who do you see as the top slot wide receiver there?
I'm gonna say Cole Beasley, something.
St. Brown from the Lions.
He's a slot guy.
He's a slot guy.
Brown everywhere, right?
He's more slot. He's a slot
guy.
Oh,
that's fair, but I'll take that. If he truly plays a slot, I'll give you that because yes, he's better than Tyler Boyd, but he's also their number one target and number one wide receiver.
That's his fault for not getting out of Cincinnati.
Here we go.
He's playing 3D chess, so he's just saying that so that way the Jets he can kind of parlay this into the Jets making a trade for him or something in his mind. I get it.
Trade for him.
They love taking Bengals players.
One guy.
It is, man.
One guy.
Who? Lawson, Uzama. Shall I keep going?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. You gotta keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Next game, 49ers at Steelers. 49ers are a 2.5 favorite. Who has a bigger game, Brock Purdy or Kenny Pickett?
Hey, I'm on the Kenny Pickett train. I'm on the Kenny Pickett train just because of what he's done in preseason. Him and that George Pickens connection looks very strong. I think. Look, Mike Tomlin had a press conference earlier this week, and just hearing him speak about his team and how he's not listening to the outside noise and tapping into these expectations that are always put on them to be successful and to go to win playoff games. I'm buying into that, and I think if anybody can come out and smack the 49ers in the mouth, it's the Steelers. So sign me up for the Steelers getting that dub.
That could be an upset. I like the Steelers a lot. I think it'll be a very close game. I'm gonna take the Steelers. I'll take the Steelers in the points. I'm sure they're underdogs on the road. But I like this group a lot. I think Kenny Pickett is going to do a lot of good things this year and really blossom into a good quarterback. He's already got the cerebral part of the game down. And I just think he's a really good player. And this ain't because of my allegiances and all that. It ain't that. That'll be the game that's on in the house on Sunday at 1:00. You know,
to your head right now.
oh, I wish I could laugh. But yeah, man, that's who we are. That's who we are. I really think they're gonna be good. I really believe the Steelers will be a good team, man.
I got the Steelers winning the game too, and I think Kenny Pickett has a bigger game.
Pickens,
49ers. Maybe. I think 49ers is going, they're going to try to run the rock, and Steelers ain't having that. It's going to be, they got a good defense, and you're going to need Brock Purdy to throw. And as Greg has been saying all summer, if you want Brock Purdy to go out there and get you 300, 400 yards passing, I don't think it's happening.
No, I think their scheme is great. I think they're going to be productive. Don't get me wrong. I think Kittle's going to be out in this game. But I just really like the Steelers this year. I think their defense is very good. They have a great pass rush situation. The quarterback situation has always been their weakness, but Joey Porter should help them out somewhat. So I think they're gonna do some good things this year. I have them in this game as an upset, but it'll be an upset. So if the 49ers win, don't be mentioning me or nothing like that.
I'm going with
you going Steelers? Oh,
I'm going with the Niners. I think they're just a better team overall. It's not a rivalry or anything. So, Greg, don't get on me for my pick. But
it's not about rivalries.
Huh?
It's about in-division games, not rivalries. You got one coming up. That should be fun to talk about.
It will.
If I had energy, I'd go back and forth. I don't even got I feel like someone punched me in my head, bro. Yo.
Hey, I gotta talk to my shirt person. I gotta talk to my shirt person. We're gonna get some shirts just for Greg that say it's in division.
Right. He needs it.
It's a bestseller, bro. Go ahead.
We got two more games.
My bad.
We got two more games on the slot to rock with. Dolphins, Chargers. That should be a good one. Tua against Justin Herbert. I would have to say these are two of the top offensive teams in the league. How do y'all see this one going? Chargers are favored by 3.
Who they playing? Who'd you say?
The
Dolphins.
Oh,
that's a tough game to pick.
I think it's going to be a good one, too. This might be a high-scoring, exciting game between both of these two potent offenses right here.
You know what I'm going to say?
I'm saying Chargers.
You pay the Chargers, right, Miles? Go ahead. Give me a reason why. I also agree with Miles. Go ahead.
I mean, if you look at everything that they were up against last year, I mean, yeah, that was a bad loss in the playoffs. But, Herbert was injured the whole season. He had a punctured lung or ribs. His ribs were messed up. Keenan Allen missed a bunch of time. Mike Williams missed a bunch of time. So Eckler had to, take on a lot bigger load than he should. But now all those guys are healthy. You're adding Quentin Johnson into the fold. The defense is still strong. They got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James is still back there. So I think when we're comparing defenses, they're a lot stronger than the Dolphins right now. Granted, they have Bradley Chubb, and Christian Watkins. Cool. Their D-line is nice. But on the back end, Xavier Howard, I don't think he's as good as he used to be. They're missing Jalen Ramsey, so they got receivers on that offense. And now you got Kellen Moore coming over, and that offense is going to be pretty explosive. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout, but I think they could win by at least 10.
I forgot about Kellen Moore. That's a great point.
I've been talking about Kellen. I don't know how you forgot. I've been talking about him on this podcast since they made the acquisition. It's going to make a big difference. But I think last year when they played, because the Chargers did play the Dolphins, I believe, last year at SoFi. I believe they did. And they had a great game plan, man. They had a great game plan for taking away those Waddle, taking away Tyreek. They were creative defensively. I remember Chris Collinsworth waxing poetic about it as I was semi-paying attention to the game. So I just feel like, sure, the Chargers are going to do a good job defensively, getting more stops. They obviously have playmakers. They obviously have Bosa, the other Bosa. And I just feel, and obviously Derwin James, who plays a overrated position in terms of value. But I think that, they're going to win this game. They're going to make more plays defensively, and Justin Herbert will outshoot Tua and his noodle arm.
I think we got a full house on that one. I got Chargers winning this one too.
Love it. Love it. On to the next.
Last two of the actual schedule. Sunday night game, and then you got Monday night. Tri-State Air gonna be busy over there at one of our followers renamed the stadium as Jet Life Stadium.
Well,
How can it be Jet Life Stadium? They've only made the playoffs 14 times in their organization's history. The Giants made it 33 times. Y'all made it 14. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is talking about. He's real arrogant, yo. He's a real arrogant dude. It's all right. It's gonna be
Before
a
we get to
Cowboys Giants. Let's hear it.
it's gonna be a good
before we get to the Jets. Before we get to the Jets. Cowboys, Giants. Cowboys are 3.5 favorite.
Yeah.
Greg don't even have to go if y'all paid attention. Greg's been choosing the Giants to win against the Cowboys week 1 for the last 3 weeks. What are y'all picks? Greg is, of course, going to go, but
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Cause I just feel like the other guys here might just give a pick and then not tell you why. Let me tell you why, yo, real quick. All right. The defensive line for the Giants is going to be together for the first time that we played the Cowboys in maybe 2 years and change. It's been a long time since we've been healthy on the defensive line. Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon, Dex, Leo, all them being there. So we're going to be able to plug up some holes and stop the run. We're going to be able to compete up front, drive guys back, get some pressure on Dak, right? But I think it's really the difference in this game is going to be offensively. I don't think it's going to be defense so much. I think offensively, because you can't stack the box against Saquon anymore with the speed on the outside with Paris Campbell, Slayton, Hyatt, Darren Waller, obviously, you have to probably double team, right? If you're serious about stopping him, it's going to make it very difficult to load the box. And I think the Giants are going to have a good game plan to take advantage of that light box for Saquon Barkley all game. So I think at the end of the day, it'll be a tight game, contested game that can go either way. But I think the Giants are going to outlast them in this football game, primarily for that reason alone. Because what the Cowboys have done historically is just stop the run, right? Because they can stack the box and there's no receiving threat that can really go up against Diggs or whatever. And now Gilmore, right? But now you can't do that. Now you can't do that. It's going to be totally different, right? It's not going to be the same because speed is the great equalizer. It's not like I have some great wide receiver necessarily, but I've got speed all over the field, and speed equalizes things. When you talk about the skill gap and having skill corners, speed is a great equalizer. So I think the Giants win because of that fact. It'll be a close game, looking at probably like 23-20, something like that. But I think the Giants are going to pull this one out and get a win. They closed the gap against the Cowboys because of that very factor I've just named.
That's cute.
Yeah, whatever.
I agree. Relax. I agree with you. You say yeah, whatever. No, I agree with you. I'm gonna pick the Giants just because I'm buying into the Saquon and Daniel Jones hype. I like what I saw from them last year. They showed a lot of willpower, even though things were going their way throughout the course of the season. Daniel Jones obviously shows that he's perseverant to be able to play with no name wide receivers and still get the job done. And now you surrounded him with some wide receivers that actually could potentially add a lot of value with that. But on the other hand, too, with the Cowboys, while I'm not so confident in them, I think they have a lot to overcome. I'm not confident with Mike McCarthy's situational awareness, and now he's calling the plays, right? Kellen Moore is gone. I think that is going to be a detriment to them is just having Dak have to get used to Mike McCarthy calling the plays. And also, as much as people like to joke about Ezekiel Elliott and his production last year, and him not getting as many snaps as Tony Pollard, say what you want, he was still a very valuable part to that team. And not having him there and having Tony Pollard as the main guy, they're not really used to that. That's not what they've done for the past several years. They've been an offense kind of that had that committee style running back room, and now they don't have that anymore. And Tony Pollard's also coming off of an injury, so what I'm worried about with him is them kind of overworking him, and maybe he gets injured. Who knows? But Brandon Cooks doesn't do it for me as an acquisition that you got, because you got rid of Cedric Wilson, you got rid of Noah Brown, you got rid of Dallas Schultz, and those guys are no longer with the team. So I think this is going to be a very different Cowboys team than we're used to talking about. I don't see them being a 12-win team that people are buying into based on previous seasons. And I think things are a little still in terms of tension, things are a little still shaky there, just in terms of how Jerry Jones went about bringing in Trey Lance. So I'm not sure how much of a distraction that has been in house, because it certainly didn't feel like Dak Prescott was on board with that, and how he like things and how he felt about the way things were moving. Right. I very well think this could be Dak's last year in Dallas, as well as Mike McCarthy's.
You know,
To your point, I was gonna say it, and you hit the head on the nail. I think they're gonna miss Zeke this year. I got the Giants 1-2. I think they're gonna miss Zeke this year, even just for he was still valuable when he was talking about 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 on the goal line. Like he was still valuable in that regard, and that's how the Patriots probably gonna use him too. Short down, short 3rd and 2, second and 4. You're gonna use him. He's good in that regard. Is he a cowbell anymore? Heck no, by no means. They should have kept him, especially for what the Patriots paid him. They could have kept him. You could have had that 2-headed monster still, and it just would have been like, all right, Tony Pollard, you get the majority, and we're gonna use Zeke and situational. I also think Greg mentioned this. I think this might be a game where you see that Cowboys secondary get exposed. I think that, they've been talking about the Cowboys secondary as being one of the top in the league. I think this is a game where you see like, hey, Stephon Gilmore is not the same guy. He's not the same guy. And y'all just keep mentioning him and Diggs, but the safeties ain't that great either. The linebackers, they shaky. They got a good front line. If they could get pressure, that's where they eat.
Right.
If they not getting pressure on Daniel Jones, that speed and Saquon, they going. I'm not saying it's gonna be a blowout, but they might really eat on national television, and it's going to be a bad start.
Cone hit the nail on the head, man. Hit the, any objective viewer from the outside looking in can tell, unless you're a Cowboys fan, can say the same thing. That's all I'm saying, man. I just think the speed is too much for on the outside, and I think that Evan Neal's improved. They'll have enough time to operate back there, and Michael Parsons is gonna have to see Andrew Thomas, probably the best left tackle in football, second best, right, top 2, whatever you like. So I'm really optimistic about this game, and I feel very confident. I think the Giants are gonna get a win here for the first time against Dallas since 2016. And I think it's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. There's Miles. Here's Miles. Go ahead. Spill your bull junk. What did I say? Bull junk.
All right. So I'm going to just say the Cowboys.
Of course.
Going against everybody else. I don't really care about this game, nor I care about the Giants. Y'all
discredit
cocky MFs. You're a cocky MF, yo.
I almost broke the rule, bro. Yo, that's crazy. Tone. Yo, you think he might be sick, yo. He might have the flu. Me? All right, man. On to the next. First of all, just tell people why, so they can hear your nonsense. Go ahead. Tell the people why, if there's a reason why.
I'm gonna say Dak's gonna outperform Daniel Jones on Sunday night.
That's wonderful. He's
not impossible. He's got weapons. He's got better weapons.
You're on drugs.
All right. Tony Pollard, 100 yards rushing, 70 receiving. He's the big play guy. CeeDee Lamb, they don't have anybody to stop him. Who's going to stop him? Carlton Banks?
Can I just throw something at you? let me throw something at you before we leave this topic. Last year, when the Giants played them without Azeez Ojulari on the field, Kayvon Thibodeau won, I believe, on 40% of his snaps last year. They ain't finished because there was no pressure coming from the other side, but he beat hit to the tackle who was in front of him 40% of the time. Kayvon's gonna have a breakout year, guys. This game's not gonna go the way people think it's gonna go. I'm just letting you know. Smart money, take the points in the Giants. Even if you don't think the Giants are gonna win, take the points. I'm telling you, the Giants are gonna win this game. Just wait on it. Anyways, on to the Jets. It's cool, man. Let's go. You guys won 17 games this year, right? Super Bowl, perfect season. Let's do it.
Saying that, like anyone on this podcast has ever said that.
I don't know, Miles. You're crazy enough to just believe that.
Bills at Jets. Bills are 2.5 favorites.
It's at MetLife?
Yes, I'm at MetLife.
It's at Jet Life.
Get the hell out of here.
I think, man, that's tough.
I think to Chris.
I want to say the Jets because I want to say the Jets are going to feed off of the crowd's energy just because of how much hype there is around them this season. I think Aaron Rodgers is a poised quarterback who's been in these big time moments, right, and can get the job done. It's not like this is a different team based off of some of the players that they have added. And these are experienced players that have a history of winning. When you talk about Allen Lazard, Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb, so Dalvin Cook, to that point alone, I'm going to choose the Jets. Not to say the Bills can't go in there and steamroll all over them.
Toss up game. I'm gonna actually take the Jets. I'm not petty like Miles. I'll give you the real spill.
Well, yeah,
being petty. Being petty. I'll give you the real spill though. So here's what it is. Last year, the Jets had 5 sacks against Josh Allen, and Josh Allen damn near broke his arm in that game. Like the UCL tear happened in that game. I don't know what they've done to address the offensive line. The Jets defense is really good. Their offense is going to be better. They're going to capitalize more opportunities. I think they're going to win in this game. I think they're going to split the season series, but they're going to win this game to start the season. I think it's going to be pandemonium. Everyone's going to be talking about the Jets going to the Super Bowl. It's going to be crazy. The Giants won't get the light of day in the news, even if they beat the Cowboys. It'll be the Jets. We'll hear about the Jets on the radio. Michael Kay, Shea Terry, all those dudes. We'll hear about the Jets. But I just believe the Jets are going to win this game because of their front. They're going to dominate up front. And I just that's really it. I don't know what their offensive line is going to do on the side of the ball, but I'm going to take my chances and think that they can hold Von Miller, right? And relax if he's playing. I think he is.
He's out.
Is he not?
He's on IR.
Oh, God. Damn. All right. Yeah. Jets.
Yeah, and he had the first 4 games?
He's in IR, so yeah. Jets will win this game, man. For all the reasons I've named. I just think they're not going to be able to protect Josh Allen. But if anyone can make me look stupid, I guess it'll be a guy like Josh Allen. We'll see. But I'll take the Jets. I just think conventionally it just makes sense to take them.
I got the Jets too. I'm not gonna go into detail because I was told last episode that I was being used and abused, and I was taken for because Hard Knocks had me confused and whatnot. So I'll just say the Jets.
Oh
yeah, by you. You're the one.
You
who
remember
said
that? You remember?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like it's propaganda, but it's okay.
Well, obviously, I'm rocking with my Jets, obviously. But it's for many reasons. The defense is elite. Our D-line is probably the best in football, in my opinion. And then we got the secondary. We got probably the best cornerback tandem in the NFL in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. Not to mention Tony Adams, who's a sleeper this year at safety, who nobody knows him now, but just wait on it. He's going to be good. And like you said, if the offensive line can gel, we got Dwayne Brown back, who that's a big get at left tackle, and Mekhi looked great in the preseason. And if he stays healthy, sky's the limit. But like adding Dalvin Cook, that's going to add some juice. And you're not going to be able to like stack the box. You weren't going to be able to stack it anyway. But Dalvin Cook is going to be refreshed. Breece Hall has no restrictions, so come mid-season, he's going to be rolling. And of course, I'm leaving out the main component in Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's going to have a good game. Garrett Wilson, 1 or 2 touchdowns, I'm saying, just because the connection is, it's like that. He's like Devontae Jr. over here. So, and who knows? Maybe we could get big Devontae over here at the deadline. So,
I love it.
Hey, before we close out NFL, who has the bigger season? Garrett Wilson or Stephon Diggs?
I'm going to say Garrett, just because I think Aaron Rodgers has shown, like, if he has a rapport with the guy, touchdowns, he's looking for you. And he's going to get the catches. And he's good after the catch. So I'm saying he's getting at least 11, 12 touchdowns this year.
I like it.
I mean, Stephon Diggs is a proven commodity, man. He does the same thing every year. And he's got a great quarterback playing with him too. It's tough. I'll say Stephon Diggs for argument's sake, but it could easily be Garrett Wilson. I that's just the way I see it. But it's really a toss up there. I'm gonna leave y'all with this where we leave though, because I wanted to say this earlier. The Giants got the best defensive tackle tandem in football. Well, healthy Leo. Now I'm gonna get a lot of Eagles in the comments. But I'm just letting y'all know. I'm gonna leave y'all with that gift. I'm gonna leave you out with this gift, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Virtuoso performance, man. I was sick this episode.
You talking about Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence?
Yep, I think they're the best D tackle tandem in football, bro. But when they got Graham over there and the Davis kid, the criminal.
Hey, yo, as you can tell, we are extremely happy that NFL is back. You will make sure that you will get this every week. We're going to break down the games. We're going to choose the picks. We're going to choose the betting lines. We're going to let you know why, what, all that good stuff. NFL is back. It's favorite time of the year for us on the podcast, favorite time of the year for pretty much all of America, that football is back. But while football has been loading, the U.S. Open has been going crazy. You got Madison Keys, Coco Gauff possibly could end up with an All-American women's final, first time in a while. And you got the men's side, Tiafoe. I did not expect my mans to lose. And he lost to a 20-year-old sensation. Miles, what's been your biggest takeaways from U.S. Open so far?
I think just seeing how Coco's, matured. Like over the years, she's been able to, win the early rounds, maybe get to the quarters and get knocked out. But she's looked good, like all around. Serve, she's playing smart. I think she could win this one. If she gets past, who's she gonna play next? Is it Sabalenka? No, she's gonna play Muchova. She's playing Muchova next. So I expect her to win and get to the finals. And then she'll probably play either Madison Keys or Sabalenka, or probably her. She's really good. And I mean, I'm always rooting for Coco. I think that's what we need. We need another, Serena Williams to come up, because the game is, it's kind of back with the Europeans at this point, and we need some more Americans. And then on the men's side, I've been impressed with Ben Shelton. Like he was the national champion last year at Florida, and now this year, in over a year, he's made his first run at a Grand Slam, and now he has to go up against Djokovic, which that's a tall task, especially a guy at 20 years old. He's just, I think he's happy to be here, but at the same time, he's got that blind confidence that he thinks that he could beat Djokovic. Like his serve, if he's on, it's going to be tough for Djokovic, but he's so good. I'm going to say he's going to get him in straight sets, but this is a good showing for him, and it's good for American tennis to see some young blood coming up, and even better, young African blood on the men's side. So it's been fun to watch. I mean, the tennis, some people might think it's boring because you see points. The whole match might take 5 hours. You got to sit through, but like seeing the skill level, as in any sport, like golf can be interesting if you really look at the skill level. Same with tennis. These guys are athletes too, so I've been enjoying the U.S. Open.
Yeah, man. Watching Breakpoint on Netflix, seeing what they go through and how they train to get their bodies ready, and just the mental component of the game, because tennis is truly a sport where you lose more than you win, right? Just based on how often you're playing. And that's something hard to go through. You need to have a ton of perseverance to continue to push yourself forward despite losing, to continue to play in these big time tournaments and get to those Grand Slams like you talked about. And to your point, Miles, I think the one thing with Coco Gauff that I've been so impressed with is obviously that Instagram clip of her, having that conversation with the ref in the middle of the match went viral, right? But just to see not only how, obviously we saw her perform at a very young age early on in terms of her craft, but just to see how well spoken she is in that moment where there's so much tension and so much frustration, how she can still communicate in a respectful way and express her emotions, and just speak facts into the moment was very impressive of how she went about it. No cursing, no cussing, no vulgar language, just pure emotion, and it just shows how bad she wants this and wants to win. Which again in that moment reminded me of Serena and just her desire to win and be the best in that moment. And then Djokovic, he's great. Yeah, we want more Americans to win and be in these big time moments, but he just took out Taylor Fritz, the Cali kid, who's another person I enjoyed watching in Breakpoint, but he has experience on his side, so I think it's still going to be a good matchup just based on how they're both playing heading into this, but I'd have to put my money on Djokovic just based on his experience alone.
Yeah, Djokovic, that Djokovic been doing it for a minute. So if Shelton beats Djokovic, that's probably like the biggest. That'll be like the biggest upset probably of the year so far in tennis. There's been some big ones, but Shelton's not even ranked right now. He's not even ranked. Like fresh out of college, like Miles said, he has that young, ignorant confidence of like, I could beat the world. And Djokovic might bring him back down to earth. That's what everybody's expecting. But if he beats him, hey, forget it. All bets is off at that point. We're going to end off the show with this one. Cap of facts. Christian Wood signing actually has helped and improved the Los Angeles Lakers.
I feel like he's like the 15th man on this team. It feels like. I don't think that they truly need him to be successful. So I think Cap.
I think facts.
I hated the signing. I don't like it.
Why?
I feel we needed a more defensive bid.
Fair. Very fair.
A defensive bid that's more traditional in regards of we know more than likely you still got to go through Denver. You got a rotation of Anthony Davis, Christian Wood, who's not known for defense, Jackson Hayes, who he's a skinnier Anthony Davis going against Jokic.
I think that this trade is good because if Anthony Davis gets hurt, and he will, you have someone who can start in his place and hold down the fort and do a great job, and you got to worry about offensive production. So that's the way I see it. I think they're just deep. They're really, really deep. I think they're much better than last year. They're a better defensive team with Gabe Davis, and Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent and the whole crew coming back, Roy, Ashimaro, everybody. So I really like this move. I think that it helps them depth wise, and they're injury proof this year. They're injury proof. They're a team that can win games despite of injuries, and I think it's really going to help LeBron be able to rest. I think that's the biggest thing. LeBron can rest with all the depth they have on this team, and that's going to be very useful when it comes down to going to Denver, playing a playoff series. He won't be gassed like he was last year. So they're the deepest team in basketball, arguably. Right? I think they're the deepest team in basketball. They're the exact opposite of Phoenix. So I really like this group. I think LeBron's going to be LeBron. AD's going to be AD. And they have a much deeper team that can definitely withstand the grind of the season much better and win a championship. I think they're going to win a championship, by the way. That's my pick.
I'm just having concern on the depth for the defensive aspect. That's my only concern when it comes to the Lakers and the front court.
Yeah.
The guards and all that, that's deep. Defensively, they covered Reeves, Russell, Gabe Vincent coming off the bench. Shoot, even Max Christie, if he plays some minutes, he's gonna be a good young player. Like you got Shafino that they drafted. Guard wise, the wings, I think they're good. Vando, I think they're good. When we talking about wings, it's just my concern is if Anthony Davis is out, Christian Wood, we're gonna have to, however long AD is out, it's gonna be Lake Show. It's gonna be back with Magic Johnson. We just gonna be trying to outscore teams because it's not gonna be ain't gonna be no defensive presence down there because Christian Wood he ain't be shutting nothing down. He's a bucket, which anybody can get the most out of him, LeBron, and he actually was with Darvin Ham in Milwaukee. So Darvin Ham already knows him, knows his game, knows his personality. Maybe he could bring the best out of him because it didn't work well in Dallas. But that seems like the Lakers thing this year too, taking players that It didn't really work out with, Cam Reddish. Now we got
They're deep, man. There's a lot of ways that team could hurt you. I think they're going to get good offensive production from him, and he buys in defensively even a little bit with AD being there. He's going to eat. I like him a lot. I like this move a lot. I understand your concern, but there was nobody in the market they could have gotten unless they made a trade. They needed like a Valanciunas, what you're talking about, a big body, Steven Adams. Just wasn't out there. They're going to go on what they got. Maybe they'll make a midseason trade. They got assets to do that, right? With all these contracts, these tradable contracts. So we'll see. But I like how they're positioned. Rob Pelinka's done a great job. Give him credit.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka has done a great job, and that's just my only concern, though. It's 3 weeks before training camp started. Nobody else in the league wanted to touch him. So there's something there that hopefully Darvin Ham and the coaching staff can get the best out of him, because it's some validity to what went on in Dallas on some level. We don't know what happened behind closed doors, behind scenes. Because 3 weeks out of training camp, 18-9, 6'10" dude, 38% from three, is just now getting picked up. There's something to it that Christian Wood was lacking in. But hey, 3 weeks out of training camp, he gonna come in and do his thing. The only way he's able to do that is because he stayed ready. Because if you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Bench mob, we out. Peace.